Okay, well, Shane Waldron just got fired. Wow. Um, you know, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. What this confirms to me is that this whole team is on the brink of collapse right now, and that this was, from what I can tell, this is a player revolt almost. Like the players asked overwhelmingly that Shane Waldron be fired. Like that's unreal. So yeah, Bears fired Shane Waldron today. They promote Thomas Brown as the new offensive coordinator for the rest of this season. I say the rest of this season because there's no way that Matt Eberflus and this coaching staff are going to be here after this year. This confirms to me that his seat is burning so much that he's just doing whatever he can to stay afloat. So yeah, Matt Eberflus fires his second offensive coordinator in the last 11 months after they fired Luke Getsy in January. Fun fact, the only two offensive coordinators to be fired already this season are Luke Getsy from the Raiders and then now Shane Waldron. Great job, Flus. You're really good at finding offensive coordinators. God. So yeah, Shane Waldron gone. I am really surprised that he was as bad as he was here. Like, I was not expecting in a million years that he would be this incompetent. But I feel like we're seeing a pattern here of bad OCs under Flus. And the thing is, like, we've seen Shane Waldron. He has NFL play calling experience, years of it. And he was never this bad. So what does that say? So Shane Waldron is gone. He was bafflingly bad. He had a few good games in there, a few really nice play calls in there, but for the most part, just terrible personnel choices, especially the first few weeks of the year. Awful play calls, awful designed plays, but the whole team was playing with pathetic effort. So, I mean, I'm surprised. But I would have preferred they fired Flus over firing Shane Waldron. Even though the offense was probably a bigger issue, I much prefer they fire Matt Eberflus over firing Shane Waldron. Because I have more belief in him than I do in Flus. But we'll see what Thomas Brown has to offer. Thomas Brown, OC for the Panthers last year. People are going to look at that and be like, whoa. But I feel like Thomas Brown was brought in to be the contingency plan for Shane Waldron. If Shane Waldron got a head coaching job somewhere, Thomas Brown was going to be the next man up. Which, but he was always the backup option. And I knew once they fired Waldron, I was like, yeah. And even when people were talking about it before, I was like, yeah, Thomas Brown will probably take over. And I like Thomas Brown. And people hate on him for the Panthers stuff. He was working in a system that he had no idea what to do in. Like, Frank Reich's scheme is nothing like the McVay, Shanahan stuff that Thomas Brown is used to running. This much more suits him, so we'll see what he's really made of. Can't be worse, right? I mean, I don't know. I said this about Waldron. I was like, oh, he can't be worse than Getsy. He is. And I said Getsy can't be worse than Nagy. He is. I miss Matt Nagy right now. Like, I honestly think that Matt Nagy would have this team playing pretty well. And that's Matt Nagy, who sucks. That's how bad this coaching staff is. And at this point, like, this season is such a disaster. Like, full-blown lost control of this team like I've never seen before. This is like a Tressman level, maybe like a step below that, because it's not like we have coaches talking trash about the quarterback to the media like we did in 2014. But this is like just barely below that, to the point where it's like, why is anybody still trying on this team? And they're not. Like, we're just going to have to hope that the new offensive coordinator coming in is going to light a fire under some of these players to actually start doing things. But if that doesn't happen, like, what happens if we go out there this Sunday against the Packers and we lose by 30 And then what? Like, it's unfair to me that Eberflus was allowed to go through another coordinator after we had to fire Luke Getsy already, and the running backs coach last year, and Alan Williams last year. Like, how many chances are you going to give this guy before you realize, oh my God, I think Eberflus is the problem? I really want Ryan Poles to address the media today, and I want him to explain his reasoning for why he still believes so strongly in Matt Eberflus, who has done nothing to deserve it. There's nothing special about this team. There's no identity to it. They say what they want their identity to be, but there is no identity. There's no effort. There's no hustle. There's no intensity. There's none of that. So, yeah, I don't understand why Flus is allowed to pick. He's allowed to go through another offensive coordinator, even though it seems like his philosophies are what is causing the offensive coordinators to fail. We're hearing rumors and reports like Caleb Williams is playing scared. Caleb Williams is playing like he doesn't want to make any mistakes. You know who that literally happened to? Justin Fields. That is what happened to Justin Fields. That's why Fields got ruined, is because of that philosophy of don't make any mistakes and overcoaching and being in their ear, telling them not to throw any interceptions or make any fumbles or any of that. And what you get is a bumpkin. You get Andy Dalton. If you want Andy Dalton as your quarterback, then we should have signed Andy Dalton again. Like, I don't understand why Ryan Poles handed you the keys to a Maserati and you put chains on the tires and you're driving it at 15 miles an hour. Like, that's what you're doing. You have the best quarterback prospects that I've ever seen in Fields and Caleb, the best that I've ever seen on the Bears. And you're neutering them. It's so rotten to the core what he's doing to these quarterbacks. And it's so pathetic that they allow this to happen again. And I said in January that we should have fired him. And because of what he did with Justin Fields and his philosophy of the 200 club, don't make any mistakes. Like, that is what neuters a quarterback's confidence. You make him play scared, and that's what's happening to Caleb, and it's just killing me, man. So, yeah, why should I believe that when Thomas Brown takes over, that it will be any different? Because it's pretty clear that these offensive coordinators aren't allowed to have their own. They're making these quarterbacks hesitate because of Eberflus and what he wants to do. And then also on top of that, these offensive coordinators suck. So yeah, we'll see what happens this Sunday against Green Bay. I'm not holding my breath here, but you know, it'll be interesting, I guess. This Bears are always at least interesting. Boy, are they. So yeah, I'll see you guys around.